Do you want to unlock the secret to memorable marketing? Great, because I have the key. This key will help you to prioritize information, ensure consistency, measure and track success, and stay focused when speaking with media or stakeholders. What am I talking about? Key messages. And that's our topic today on Brand for Good. Welcome to Brand for Good, the show for purpose-driven leaders who want to build timeless brands and create sustainable impact. I'm Lorraine Sugart, former PR and marketing executive turned founder of the disruptive agency Prosper for Purpose. I've worked with some of the world's most beloved brands, and I'm here to help you elevate your brand identity, visibility, influence, and impact. Are you ready to brand for good? Let's go. Welcome back to the Brand for Good podcast, where today we're talking about another key pillar of your brand, the foundation of your brand messaging, your key messages. Before we begin, I want to remind you that this episode is part of a series on up-leveling your brand that started with episode 100. I am literally teaching you step by step how to create or recreate a brand for good. If you're here to make a lasting impact, I hope you'll subscribe to the Brand for Good podcast and follow along. Today, we'll explore what key messages are, why they are essential in establishing your brand, and how you can create effective key messages that resonate with your audience. Let's start with explaining what key messages are. Simply stated, key messages are the core messages you want your audience to hear and remember about your brand. They are concise, clear, and they convey what your brand stands for. Think of them as the foundation of your brand's communication strategy. For example, let's take a look at Apple. One of their key messages is think different. It's short, memorable, and encapsulates their brand's innovative spirit and commitment to challenging the status quo. Key messages like this help to establish a brand's identity and communicate its value proposition effectively. When we first heard that message, we knew Apple was here to disrupt the market. Now, in that example, a key message is the tagline, but be sure Apple has other key messages around simplicity, design, imagination, and empowering people through technology. As I mentioned a minute ago, key messages are important as they form the foundation of your brand copy and communications, and yes, your marketing. Whether it's your website, printed marketing materials, social media posts, PR campaigns, or public speaking engagements, your key messages should be woven into every piece of communication. Doing this ensures that every aspect of your brand is consistently communicated, creating a cohesive brand experience for your audience. Consistency is key in building trust and recognition and for making your marketing memorable. To maintain this consistency in your messaging, especially when multiple people within your organization are working on communications, a brand guide is essential. A brand guide outlines your key messages along with all the other critical elements of your brand we've been covering since episode 100 with, yes, more to come. Your brand guide acts as a reference point, ensuring everyone is literally on the same page and communicating the brand effectively. In future episodes, we'll talk about brand visuals and how your brand guide should include sections on how to use your logo, color schemes, typography, and more. Together, all these elements create a unified brand presence across all platforms and touch points, which is key to becoming memorable. Now let's move on to where those key messages come from. Certainly, they are inspired by your purpose, vision, mission, values, and other pillars of your brand. But lucky for you, your key messages are also greatly inspired by your brand's positioning statement, which, if you haven't yet listened to episode 108, be sure you catch that so that you're really ready to dig into your key messages. In the meantime, here's a quick recap of that episode. A positioning statement describes the full strategic intent of your brand's position, including your target customer, your place in the market, your brand benefit, and a reason to believe. These elements should serve as the foundation for crafting your key messages. To help our clients and you develop effective key messages, I like to use the acronym SCREAM to remember the key traits. Now, while I don't advocate screaming, I like the acronym because it reminds us that we need to be heard above the noise in our market. So let's break this down. The S stands for specific. Your message should be clear and focused, avoiding any vague or ambiguous language. C is for clear. It should be easy to understand with no room for misinterpretation. R is for relevant. The message must be pertinent to your target audience's needs and interests at that particular time. E stands for emotional. It should connect with your audience on an emotional level, making them feel something. A is for actionable. Your key messages ultimately exist to move people to action. The right message on the right channel to the right person at the right time will encourage them to go to your website or pick up the phone. And M is, of course, for memorable. Your message should be easy to remember and repeat, ensuring that it sticks in the minds of your audience and becomes associated with your brand. Now let's talk about how you can create your own key messages. Start by understanding your brand positioning, who you are, what you do, and why it matters. Again, go back to episode 108 for the full lesson on that. Identify your target audience and focus on the unique benefits and differentiators that your brand offers. Next, use the SCREAM criteria we just reviewed to craft your messages. How many? Aim for 3 to 5 key messages that can encapsulate the essence of your brand. Too many messages can dilute your brand's impact, while too few may not cover all the important points. When I work with clients, we inevitably end up with 5 messages. So let's give an example of what this could look like. Say you're a sustainable fashion brand. Your key messages might include statements like eco-friendly materials or fair labor practices and timeless designs. Each of those 3 messages is clear, specific, relevant, emotional, actionable, and memorable. I want to make a quick point here. This episode is about your brand's key messages, but you can and also should develop key messages about your specific products or services. These will be even more specific to those offers and will pull out specific points to make them appeal to your ready to purchase buyers, but also to help people understand how those offers are distinguished from other offers within your company. We can talk about those on a future episode, but just wanted to make that point here. Okay, so to wrap up, key messages are a fundamental part of your brand's communication strategy. They help to ensure consistency, build trust, and make your brand memorable. Take the time to craft or refine your key messages, and you'll see the impact they can have on your brand's success. And if you'd rather hand this work off to a professional, I'm here to help. My agency, Prosper for Purpose, has built memorable brands for nonprofit organizations, government agencies, and companies that care. If that's you, send an email to connect@prosperforpurpose.com. Stay tuned next week for our episode where we'll explore the art of storytelling in brand marketing. Learn how to craft compelling stories that connect with your audience and drive engagement. More on our series on upleveling your brand for good. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Brand for Good show. If you like what you heard, please hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and leave a review so other purpose-driven leaders can find this valuable content. To learn more about building a brand for good, please visit prosperforpurpose.com for more resources and information on all the ways you can work with us.